Have you ever wondered what is the reason that Hrithik Roshan went through such a lot of turmoil in his life and became the excellent actor that he is today? The answer to. What would you say about Yuvraj Singh? What made him undergo such a lot of transformation, be it being working under or training under such a strict parent or battling through so many problems in life? And yet he is victorious, and not only that, has given Indian cricket so much back in return. So, what is in their chart that gives them that credibility, that gives them that endurance? Let's talk about Saturn in the 8th house. Saturn is a planet that is mostly feared. Why? Because probably we don't want to work hard the way Saturn wants us to do. Saturn is a planet that likes discipline, and given a chance, most of us, including me, would want to just do things the way we want to do them and not probably follow a structure or the discipline. Saturn is a planet that talks about administration. It is a planet that talks about being straight and narrow. And it also gives confinements. It gives you restrictions and you have to work along that path. It's a hard taskmaster, and that is why it is feared so much. When we talk about the 8th house is also an area, it's a place which is very mysterious, and it is something that brings about rapid transformation, deep transformation, leaving people at sea. It is a place that generates fear because it is the place of the unknown. So let's talk about this Saturn in the 8th house and see what it helps us to achieve. Okay, it is also the place, let me also add on that it is a place of occult, it is the place of the unknown, and it is a place of the knowledge that is different from everything else. It also gives you an ability to think in deep places, to do a lot of research. Now, when I am combining these two things, that is Saturn in the 8th house, we find that the changes are profound, and yet these changes take a lot of time to happen because Saturn is a slow planet. In the 8th house, a very apt description is, it's like a person roasting over, hot coals. So he is going to be totally transformed from inside out. Okay. So Saturn here tells us about, as the 8th house is all about longevity, Saturn does give you a long life. But then that life has a lot of transformations, and the transformation, as I told you earlier, is slow and very deep and changes your core nature. 8th house is also about finances. Saturn, if it is sitting in the 8th house, it's looking at your 2nd house, the 5th house, and very strongly in the 8th house it is also aspecting the 10th house of your work. So you have a lot of money with the work. You can get money from the work, but you have to be disciplined. You can be working with other people's finances, but that finances should be accounted for, and it should be very much there in your mind, how to invest, how to work on it. Because as the 5th house where Saturn aspects, it does not give you anything for free, and it makes you want to learn and learn deeply, as the 8th house says, over a period of time, that you can do a good job. The healing abilities of Saturn is not very strong, so Saturn makes you suffer to make you a great taskmaster, or so it is said, or so we feel. I have seen that if Saturn will only make you suffer if you are not disciplined, you are not diligent. If you are diligent, then Saturn aids you into doing your work better. The psychological issues that one goes through, because 8th house is a deep house, the fears that one has, if one learns to live with it, Saturn also helps you outgrow those fears. So, in the 8th house, Saturn does make you face those fears initially and then help you outgrow it. And finally, Saturn, because it's a slow planet but a deep planet, and the 8th house is a deep house of research, it gives you an ability to go deep down and think of the occult that you want to research into or the finances you want to research into. As I talk about the 8th house, it is also the house of sadhana, and Saturn is a lonely planet. So, if the 8th house is strong for a person with Saturn in there, a person can go into deep sadhana, especially in the later parts of the life, because Saturn is, as I repeat, an old planet, and the 8th house also shows old age. Now, this is so much the good side of it. But when we talk about Saturn in the 8th house, and the 8th house is a house which is a strong house, and it is a house that is a part of the Dushtanas, then there must be some things that do not work well with us. The sudden transformations that Saturn can bring about, and the definite transformations that Saturn can bring about in the 8th house. So with this, I would also like to add that I've always told people that Saturn, if it is strong, say if it's exalted in the 8th house, then one must be careful, because here it can bring you the transformation that you may not really be happy with or can't even imagine in your dreams. We had somebody comment on this in a very old video about planets in 8th house, exalted planets in 8th house, that with Saturn in the 8th house exalted, the person underwent a major issue. He fell down and in a very freak accident and lost mobility from waist down, the legs as represented by Saturn. So this is something you should be aware of or should be careful about. Again, 8th house talks about spouse's finance. So, and Saturn sitting there, wherever Saturn sits, it makes us disciplined and it delays things. So if Saturn is sitting there, it might delay your spouse's finance, or you're working with other people's finance if you are not very careful, if you are not very strong, and if you are not very honest. Okay. Saturn can also give you fears and psychological issues, as I said earlier, and you will have to learn to live with them, especially if Saturn, such a Saturn is also associated with your Sadhisati, then that's a traumatic phase one might have to endure. But on the flip, on the good side, that is a teaching period for you and you will come out well. We'll talk about this further in another video, but as of now, let us go and check out the charts of Hrithik Roshan and Yuvraj Singh. Let's talk about the chart of Yuvraj Singh. In the chart of Yuvraj Singh, you see that the Lagna here is Aquarius and the 8th house comes to Gemini. We also see that Saturn is placed here along with Mars. As I told you earlier, when Saturn is in the 8th house, it will aspect the 5th house, and Mars eventually also aspects the 5th house, giving him a career in sports. But what transformation did he have? His career in sports, in cricket, was a transformation in itself. What more can I say? You just need to look into his life history, how his father trained him into it. Not only that part, but later on also, he had major health issues which he came out of it, and they definitely have left a profound mark on him. You see, Saturn, as you all know, brings him in the Nakshatra of Chitra. Chitra Nakshatra is a nakshatra that gives one an ability to perform well under pressure. So this Saturn with its transformative power and this in the nakshatra which gives him to perform well under pressure, Saturn here rises his ability or gives strong or gives him the strength to fight any problem that comes his way and to come out better instead of a bitter person. It's like gold which has been under fire and has become more pure. Let's talk about the chart of Hrithik Roshan. In Hrithik Roshan's chart, we find that the Lagna is Scorpio and Saturn is well placed in the sign of Gemini. Well, can I say well placed? Because it's on the Rahu Ketu axis also, making it more afflicted, or should I say under a lot of pressure. But we also see that this Saturn is the lord of third house of change and is also the lord of the fourth house. Now there is a huge amount of transformation that this person has gone through. We've all read about it, heard about it, and this person has endured a lot in life. The transformation has been so slow and yet so definite that it has changed the very fabric of him. And so we can say and that if you have the ability to endure that slow process of transformation, Saturn really knows how to reward you, put you on a pinnacle. So Saturn in 8th house definitely makes you go through a lot of problems in life. There's no two ways about it. But at the end of all that problems, there's a pot of gold waiting for you. So be there. To get that pot of gold, the transformation is necessary. Do write to us what you found in your observations. Until we meet with you again, stay safe.
Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.